Hi, this is Les Levine, the self-proclaimed voice of truth and reason in Ohio sports. I hate coaching changes in the NFL. Bud, correct me if I'm wrong, but I can't think of a first-year head coach who has made it to the Super Bowl, and I doubt that Freddie could do that in his second year, or any year for that matter. I know Jimmy Haslam is tired of paying off coaches and coaching staffs not to coach, but to loosely quote Art Modell, which rhymes with Odell, he may have had no choice. I also don't believe that players should be dictating coaching positions either, but I don't see Freddie being able to avoid the groundswell these days. Ideally, players ought to just play out their contracts and let the front office make the decisions. But this is the Cleveland Browns we're talking about. Freddie, most likely, is probably one more piece of collateral damage. We've got Bud Shaw here tonight. More Sports and Les Levine is on the air. From the worldwide headquarters of More Sports and Les Levine, it's a Tuesday night. Good evening, everyone. Welcome once again to More Sports and Les Levine, into our 24th consecutive season and exclusively seen on cleveland.com. Bud Shaw is here tonight. Means it must be Tuesday, and somebody should be waking up Darren from Concord.
And Devin.
Devin, I mean.
And if it's Tuesday in mid-December, it must mean we're talking about a possible coaching change with the Cleveland Browns.
Can I do a public service first?
Sure.
Why am I asking you? It's More Sports and Les Levine.
It's More Sports and Les Levine. You do
whatever
whatever you want.
For all you people for hundreds of years who have been driving on 271 going toward 480 East and think you're going toward Youngstown or the Turnpike, it doesn't work that way anymore. In the past week, I've made the wrong turn 3 consecutive times. Bud, you would have had you not been warned. At least you were warned and were able to understand what that meant. I never understood what it meant. We've had other people miss it. They have totally messed up what they've been doing. They've had all this construction for several years now, and they don't put signs up telling you you're now on your way to Macedonia.
Well, I don't have an endorsement deal with Waze, but I do recommend the Waze app.
Just
because it'll tell you
them.
now, it'll say exits 21 to 23, 480 East.
Yeah, and people forgot to warn you where that'll take you.
Yeah.
All right, so be careful out there, no question about that. Poor Hoynesy, he'll be here Thursday, he'll wind up in Pittsburgh.
You know, you've just kind of given people a hint as to where the show is, where the studio is, and now there's going to be paparazzi crawling all over this place when Hoynes is here. Not when I'm
You
here.
didn't listen to me. You didn't look up his rant from the other night.
I didn't yet. I'm
still there.
I feel like I've lived so many of his rants in press boxes all around America over the years, but they are special.
All right, I've avoided this for 2 minutes now, 3 minutes, the Cleveland Browns, who, by the way, last week had very little chance to make the playoffs, but almost, if they had won, almost everything else came their way last week.
Yeah, it's that extra little twist to the knife.
And by the way, had you won.
Yeah, I mean, people look and think, well, if we could just get the Titans to lose and
Pittsburgh.
And Pittsburgh, and of course the Raiders and Colts have already kind of played themselves out of it. But I don't know what their percentage would have been, but it would have been a lot higher than 0.8, which is what it is.
Well, it would have been
now.
a tease, and it would have been fine. All right, so let's kind of recap. So I haven't seen you in a week, so we'll recap what's happened here. You informed me of something. I thought that the little skirmish on the sideline, Jarvis Landry and Freddie Kitchens, I thought it was because Landry didn't like the idea they kicked a field goal instead of going for it on first down.
Yeah.
You tell me otherwise.
Well, that was my first inclination watching the game, because I was listening on radio at one point, and I heard Donovan and Deacon talking about that, and Deacon saying, "Oh, they're probably going to. There's 4-down territory," and then as it turns out, they realized they decided that they're going to need 2 scores anyway, right? So
yeah, but you're asking the rookie kicker to hit a 45-yarder.
Yeah, and when you have an offense with all the guys that we know are on their offense, so against one of the worst defenses in the league, so. Yeah, I thought it was an odd call, but so I just assumed that was what Landry was talking about when he went over there. I still thought it was a bad look for him to do that. But he then says it's because he wanted the ball more in this game. He thought he could help the team more. Well, first of all, don't show up your head coach by doing that to him, and tell the quarterback that on the bench if you have to. But here's a pet peeve of mine, Les. I mean, when things like that happen, and then Freddie comes out and immediately supports Jarvis Landry. I know he's a fiery guy.
Right.
He's just like, he wants to win. Well, there's a lot of guys on that team that want to win that don't do that. Guys like J.C. Treader who just pull themselves together with high ankle sprains and play the whole season and gut it out.
Couldn't
you don't think
practice.
he wants to win?
Of course.
But he's not going to go to the head coach. Nick Chubb, you don't think he wants to win? He's not going to go to the head coach and say something like, you think he went up to Freddie at halftime of the Bengals and said, how come I only have 3 carries? Well, what are you doing here? No, you don't do that kind of stuff. But yet, Landry and Beckham, to me, and sort of enable each other by saying, oh, well, when Landry's asked about Beckham, he just wants to win. He doesn't want to go anywhere.
Well, that is not the excuse.
Well, then why in October is he telling Jimmy Garoppolo, hey, come get me, I'd like to play over here. Why is that happening in October?
By the way, Jimmy Garoppolo, as good as he may be, does not decide who comes to San Francisco to play.
Some of this stuff is silly, and the latest report is that more players were doing this during the game Sunday.
Right.
I think they were doing that to tweak the media. I really do. Because who's going to tell the Arizona Cardinals that they want to, other than if you're a golfer and you want to play golf all year out there,
right.
That I get. But the 3-8-1 Arizona Cardinals, and you think the Browns are seriously saying, come get me. I want to play for you guys.
So what do we have here? We got 14 games in the book. There's 2 more that are meaningless as far as where the Browns are going to finish. And most people, here's the thing about it. As frustrating as it is, most people didn't expect it because every call I took here or on 92.3 The Fan, I don't think I had an 8-8. I think they were all starting at 9-7 and going from there.
Yeah, and
the fans.
I picked them to go 10-6, even though I had reservations about Freddie Kitchens as a rookie head coach. I just thought that their offensive talent was going to be so good that they were going to win, some games 24-23, 27-24.
All right,
I didn't expect to see them come out and play with really little enthusiasm.
What is
Sunday.
the disposition now of Freddie of Jimmy Haslam and Dee Haslam? What are they thinking? I know they can't stand the thought of paying off another coaching staff.
Yeah, well, I mean, I know a couple of people in the media who believe that, as you just made your point, that Freddie's probably gone unless they somehow beat the Ravens and then finish the season strong. I look at it the other way. I think this has been an ownership that's hesitant to fire guys when they like them, like we saw with Hugh Jackson.
Right.
I mean, they didn't fire him after 1-31 because they liked him. I think Freddie's a likable guy inside the building. He probably has some sympathizers who think, well, he's a rookie. Like, what did you expect? So is ownership going to say, hey, listen, we got to make a change, or are we expecting Dorsey's going to go to Haslam and say, all right, listen, I made a mistake.
Yeah,
I mean, it's his hire. So I still think he's coming back, unless they come and they get blown out against the Ravens and then lose in Cincinnati. I think they'll be able to justify bringing him back, and maybe I'm really wrong about that. I've been wrong a lot before
Freddie
about
Kitchens,
this
who
team.
by all accounts, present company included, is a very likable guy.
Mm-hmm.
We all agree, most of us agree on that. But for the Cleveland Browns, is he the right guy? I mean, I can't believe. I kept saying before he was hired that John Dorsey has a list in his hip pocket. We always talk about his hip pocket, and who he would choose if he was running a franchise. Jimmy Haslam, we thought, becoming an owner in the NFL, would have had the same. Didn't know he'd be up to about, what's he up to now, 5 different coaches?
Yeah.
We didn't think he had a list going 5.
That deep. Yeah.
That deep. So, and as you suggest, Dorsey, it's his hire, and if it fails, if he does keep him a second year and it fails, then he's the one whose rear end might be on the line.
Yeah, I heard Ross Tucker say, as I was driving here, 92.3, say that there's nobody in. He exaggerated, right? There's nobody in Cleveland. There's nobody in America who, if you said to them, you could hire Ron Rivera, Mike McCarthy, or Freddie Kitchens for the 2020 season, who would sign up for Freddie Kitchens. That's his theory.
And
so
his
here
answer?
you are sitting with these 2 veteran coaches available. So he thinks Freddie's gone.
Well, you don't know.
because of that.
McCarthy has a history with Dorsey, so you don't know where that stands right now, right?
Yeah, but I mean, he's just talking about the quality of coaches.
Just looking
There's
at
two quality veteran coaches out there that have led veteran teams before
Right.
to the playoffs. Would they be a better choice than Freddie Kitchens
What's
for
your answer?
2020? Yeah, I think Ron Rivera definitely would. Now, I think he's a guy who players, nobody's coming off the sideline and doing that. And
No, I don't think
listen,
so.
I understand heat of the moment stuff. Things can happen. But that doesn't happen in this league. I've never seen it happen with Tomlin. I haven't seen it happen with a lot of other coaches.
216-575-0403. When we get back, we're going to take a look at our Facebook question of the day. First, let me tell you about the Ohio Lottery. Did you know there are over $3 million paid out in Ohio Lottery scratch-offs every day? Give the gift of winning this month and do that with the popular Ohio Lottery scratch-offs like Holiday Cash, Holiday Lucky Times 10, and Merry Millions, all from the Ohio Lottery. You can follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/More Sports and Les Levine. New content posted each and every day. We've got a Facebook question that we will look at when we get back. Our question for today was, who should be the Browns head coach at the start of 2020? You'll be surprised at some of the answers. We'll take a break. We'll come on back in a moment. Bud Shaw with us. Tomorrow night, it's the D-Man, Dennis Maniloff. Paul Hoynes joins us on Thursday. We'll take a break. Come on back in a moment. More Sports and Les Levine, seen exclusively on cleveland.com.
Presque Isle Downs and Casino now has sports betting. Use one of the 50 state-of-the-art Bet America kiosks to place your bet. Then watch your favorite games on our new HD televisions or visit our new sportsbook area. Only at Presque Isle Downs and Casino.
As a kid growing up, my dream was to go to college, play baseball, and get a degree. Coming out of high school, I had two choices. I was accepted into a four-year university, but I decided to come to Tri-C after receiving a scholarship. I got my associate's degree at Tri-C. They transferred all my credits straight into Baldwin-Wallace, so I started at Baldwin-Wallace University as a junior. My name is Tyler Leonard, and I earned my first degree at Tri-C.
The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program recognizes role model students and teachers from across Ohio. Nominations can now be done completely online. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to ohiolottery.com. In the About section, find Partners in Education. There you will find links to the nomination forms. Students kindergarten through 12th grade can be academic all-stars. Teachers can be honored as a Teacher of the Month. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education, where stars shine.
This portion of More Sports and Les Levine brought to you by Northeast Factory Appliance with 3 great locations plus a great website. We'll talk more about that in a little bit. Bud Shaw is with us, 216-575-0403 if you want to get in on the action sometime in tonight's show, which goes up until 6 o'clock Eastern Time. Bud Shaw, we missed an opening comment, so let's have a semi-opening comment from Bud Shaw.
All right, Les, thank you. You know, things have a way of coming back to haunt Browns coaches, you might have noticed. Hugh Jackson once vowed to jump in Lake Erie if his team didn't improve on a 1-15 record and ended up toweling off as the coach of an 0-16 team the next year. Freddie Kitchens' version of this was to temper enthusiasm about the Browns' talent preseason by saying, "Whoop de hell." Talent isn't the only measure of a team, was his point. Now we hear Kitchens making a list, and checking it twice, of the reasons why this season hasn't been all bad. There's a 1,000-yard running back, he said, 2 receivers in the vicinity of 1,000 to go with it. Well, I'm not sure the best defense for a coach charged with not doing enough with the roster he inherited is to remind us of Nick Chubb, Jarvis Landry, and Odell Beckham Jr. This year has been about squandered talent. And as a coach staring hard at a 7-9 season, if not worse, that's not a great look. And I can only say, whoop-de-hell.
All right, you talk about not a great look. I think that goes back a little bit to the T-shirt that he wore Pittsburgh started it. That was not a good look either, and not understanding the gravity of it all probably hurt them in the eyes of some people in the front office.
Yeah, I think it shows maybe his lack of maturity as a head coach, and this team has shown a lack of maturity most of the year. And I know They are young at some positions, but that's not really been the issue, I don't think. And talk about bad looks. Can we discuss Baker Mayfield's dress in the post-game press conference the other day?
Go ahead.
Well, people of a certain age will remember Stanley Kowalski in A Streetcar Named Desire. It was that undershirt.
Right.
And that's how he came out to talk to the media afterwards.
Is there anything behind it, or just bad judgment?
I don't know. I mean, I'm not making a big deal out of it, but it was a little bit different, a little bit odd. He dressed basically like the way Freddie would if Freddie had been the quarterback coming out to dress the media. So
he said, "Freddie, can I borrow a shirt for a minute of the Freddie Kitchens selection?"
There's just been something missing to me all season, and I haven't been able to exactly put my finger on it. But
so, do you think the players on the team thinks they can get away with anything because Freddie will back them publicly?
I don't know if that's it or not. I mean, when you look at some of the guys that have certainly some people have played themselves out of Freddie's favor.
Right.
Starting with Jannard Avery,
Njoku,
Rashard Higgins. So it's not as if he's allowing players to just walk all over him. But I do think this thing with the wide receivers and how badly they want to win and get the ball and all that stuff, that Freddie could do a lot better than come out and support them every time some issue like this comes up. Just say, hey, we all want the ball.
Sure.
We all want to win. We all have to do our jobs and end it there.
And so do 65,000 people in the stands.
Yeah.
216-575-0403 is the number to call. Bud Shaw with us. So we asked a Facebook question today. Who would you like to see as the Browns coach to start the 2020 season? Bud, do you have a thought? You said probably Freddie.
No, who would I like to see?
Yeah.
No, I think the Browns will bring him back, and I think we'll be having the same discussion next year at this time.
All right.
But I would hire Ron Rivera.
As would I. Jay Slagle says somebody who's a plug-and-play coach with a short learning curve, no more training on the job. I think we can agree with that.
Good point.
Gerard Morelli, an experienced head coach with NFL credentials. Mike McCarthy would be great, but I don't know if Dorsey left Green Bay on good terms with him. Kevin Pyle says Rivera, as long as he finds a primarily new staff of assistant coaches and doesn't bring much of the staff from the Panthers. Rick May says either McCarthy or Rivera would work for me. Just make sure that he's not calling the plays. That's what an offensive coordinator is there for. Dennis Davis says the coaching turnover madness has to end. Give Kitchens another year and take away his play calling ability. Andy Mees, see if Greg Williams is willing to come back. After all, the Browns did respond under him last season and were far more disciplined under him than they were under good old boy Freddie. Gregory Mees, Lincoln Riley, who has proven to be an offensive genius in his work with Baker, open up the pocketbook and give him whatever he needs to have him here as our future. Barbara Mooney, I agree with this wholeheartedly. Less would be more. Creative, winning, skilled with the game clock. I've said this for decades. Barbara. She's absolutely right. Best Facebook entry we've ever had.
The Lincoln, the college coach idea, I'm not dead set against it because to me you're bringing in a guy who's been a head coach at a major program.
Somewhere.
The difference with Kitchens was that he had never been a head coach anywhere. He'd never really been above a position coach for all but 3 months of his career.
All right. It seems that Urban Meyer is sort of putting himself out there with Washington, before that with Dallas. He's in our own backyard. Any desire to have him as the head coach of the Browns?
I certainly would talk to him. Now, here's what I wouldn't want to see happen. I think John Dorsey has done a good job as a talent evaluator in general.
Not as good as we thought.
No, he's missed some. Obviously, he's missed some. He's made some deals with guys that he shouldn't probably have brought on. Callaway, guys like that. So to me, if you bring in that king of college football, and I would put Urban in that category, you're probably going to blow Dorsey out because Dorsey's going to say, "Wait a second, you just usurped my power here."
Right.
So now, are you ready to start all over again with a guy like Urban who would then have to find his own personnel guy and? That seems a little drastic to me.
There was a column in USA Today yesterday, the day before, giving all the reasons why Urban should not want to be in the pros. And one is he wouldn't want to work for Dan Snyder and maybe not Jerry Jones, although Jerry keeps his guys around for a long time. Yeah. But he also berates them on his radio show on Monday, no matter what he does. But Urban's one great strength is recruiting, which is a downfall of many college coaches, but he seems to thrive on it, but he wouldn't have that main duty in the NFL.
Yeah, and would you put Haslam in that same category with Snyder and Jerry Jones? I mean, what has Haslam ever done in this league to be considered a good owner? The difference is he's not going to meddle with once a guy gets on the job.
He sort of did before, but this time around he's kept out of it.
Yeah, I think he's kept out of it, and I think he sort of moved into the background last year during the coaching search.
Right.
People remember there was another part of the front office with Paul DePodesta and the analytics guys who preferred, we think, Kevin Stefanski, the offensive coordinator from the Minnesota Vikings. Maybe they're the voice that's now in Haslam's ear saying, see, we told you.
Is Podesta still involved?
DePodesta is still there, but my understanding, and I might not have this right, but I've been told by somebody that they thought this was the last year of his contract with. So I don't know what that means. I think he's had impact elsewhere in the organization.
With sales and marketing.
They brought an analytics model to a lot of different parts of the organization, not just
like how much popcorn to put in the bag.
There you go.
No, I'm serious. Things like that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of things like that he's had a hand in. But I don't know. I'd be tempted to bring in somebody. If you're going to keep Beckham together, you're going to keep Beckham and Landry together. You're not going to make any moves there. I think this is a quarterback who needs to be coached by I don't want to say a disciplinarian head coach, but he needs to be coached.
Well, we're going to talk about that a little later.
Okay.
Who the quarterback coach is now versus who it was last year, while Freddie was the running backs coach and then took over as the head coach. 216-575-0403. Email us during the show at reallesLevine@gmail.com. How about 50 sofas at around $399, solid wood bunk sets for $299? That's what you'll find right now at Northeast Factory Direct or northeastfactorydirect.com. There's no gimmicks, there's no deceiving blowout sales, just 3 huge bare-bone warehouses filled with some of the same stuff you're going to find at the big box stores, except you're going to pay half price or much less than that. The bottom line is nobody is going to touch the everyday savings or quality at northeastfactorydirect.com. They've got 3 stores, east, west, and south. East and west, West 140th Street in Cleveland. You got the old B&B Appliance building, that's in Euclid. And of course, Freeway Drive, the new one, that's in Macedonia. Or check them out before you go anywhere at northeastfactorydirect.com. Northfield Park, your home for live and simulcast racing. And they've got live racing, the exciting racing coming up on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, as well as Saturday and Sunday evening. Post time 6 p.m. for all of those. They've got a 3-day tournament coming up December 26th through the 28th. Check that out. Grand prize, big prize, a bonus of $500, and plenty of chances to win on that. Northfield Park, where it's free admission, free parking every day. We'll talk to Mike Macetta a little bit later from Nature Stone. In the meantime, we'll take a break. We'll come on back in a moment. More Sports and Les Levine continues exclusively on cleveland.com.
Get your basement ready for the holidays.
There was moisture in the basement. It ruined the carpeting. The smell was terrible. We didn't feel safe in our own basement, and that's when we called Nature Stone.
And with Russell's Promise, our true unconditional warranty, you will never have to replace your basement flooring again. For a limited time, get Nature Stone installed now and pay nothing until next year. Payments as low as $99 a month. No interest, no down payment. Schedule your free cost estimate easily online today. It's not just a floor. Wow, it's Nature Stone.
National Holidays expert Mary here with a list of holidays you won't want to miss. Get your Ohio Lottery Merry Million scratch-offs for National Donut Day, National Have a Party with Your Bear Day, Pickle Day, National Unique Talent Day, Take a Hike Day, and America's favorite, National Jukebox Day. Every day is a reason to celebrate. Grab a Merry Millions and other Ohio Lottery holiday scratch-offs today.
There are tastes we remember. Every smell brings the happiness of times gone by. Experience this every time you walk into Gallucci's Italian Foods. Whether you need lunch on the go, a catered party, or that perfect blend of wine, meats, and cheeses, Gallucci's has exactly what you're looking for. Straight from Mama's kitchen for old world traditions or original experiences. From the tastes you remember to new flavors you'll never forget. Gallucci's is a tasty branch of your family tree.
When it comes to selling you a mattress, most retailers are handing you a line. A long line of extra steps that drive up costs and create confusion. At the Original Mattress Factory, we simplify the mattress shopping experience by building mattresses and box springs in our own local factories and selling them direct to you. It's short, sweet, and simply makes sense. So experience more than just the mattress store. Experience an original, the Original Mattress Factory.
This portion of More Sports and Les Levine brought to you by Tri-C, tri-c.edu for more information. 216-575-0403 is the number to call. Bud Shaw is with us. Bud, most people will tell you that Freddie Kitchens got the job partially, or more than partially, because of his carryover with the coach of the quarterback of the team, Baker Mayfield, and the camaraderie they had worked out. Number one, do you agree with that?
I think it was a big factor. I do. Yep.
Okay. He also had some help when Freddie became coach last year. Ken Zampese, a veteran coach in the NFL, wound up being the quarterback coach. This year it's Ryan Lindley, who came from San Diego State, which I believe was his first job in major college football. So let's take a look. Let's take a look at at Baker as he last season, this under Zampese, and he connected on 63.8% of his passes. This year it's down to 60.1, 37.25 yards and 33.56 this year with 2 more games left. Touchdowns 27 versus 17, interceptions 14 versus 17, and quarterback rating 93.7 versus 78.7 this year. That's not good, 78.7. I mean, I don't think everybody understands what comprises a quarterback rating, but I can tell you 78.7 is not good.
Yeah, and I may have heard this on 92.3 again, and I would attribute it if I remembered who said it, but someone pointed out that they think he has one of the lowest, if not lowest, quarterback ratings in the fourth quarter this year.
Yeah, he's not had a fourth quarter comeback for a win.
Yeah, well, I think that game against Buffalo answered that. I think it might qualify because he led that last drive where he hits. It was the last time we saw Higgins. He hits him in the middle of the end zone.
Didn't he used to play for the Browns?
Yeah, I think he did. and who knows what's going on there, but. Yeah, I don't know. I know there's mixed. I know Jeff Shudell, who comes on and does the show occasionally, has asked a few times this year about Zampese, and of course Freddie shuts that down just as he does when people ask about whether he should give up play calling. And I know a couple other writers that think the quarterback coach is not the reason why. But I do think that if he has somebody that he really respects in the league, either as an offensive coordinator or a quarterback coach, that it could only help him. He's a second-year player. If some of his fundamentals and mechanics have gone by the wayside, it would be a good time to get those back in order. A
lot of people seem to think he showed up in camp overweight.
I thought he looked a little heavy in camp.
Yeah, but was that just overweight from not having a good structure in the off season?
Yeah, I don't know. I think he's helped himself up until last week. He helped himself in a few of those games recently by taking the ball and gaining 7 or 8 yards. He scored. On one occasion, he scored against Cincinnati, I believe, doing that. Prior to that, he seemed reluctant to ever use his legs, and I thought last year he did that, to his benefit.
And get out of bounds in time.
Yeah, and I'm not talking about design plays like Lamar Jackson where he runs for 35 yards or Kyler Murray. I mean, just instead of throwing the ball away or forcing it somewhere, when it's 3rd and 5, take that 6-yard run and get down.
All right, we mentioned Zampese, we mentioned Lindley. Let's take a look at the experience factors of these guys. Zampese, 2018, was the quarterback's coach of the Browns with the Eagles as an offensive assistant, and Green Bay Packers, St. Louis Rams, and so on, Cincinnati Bengals. That's a pretty good resume, right? Mm-hmm. Let's take a look at Ryan Lindley, see what he's done. All right, he was hired as running back coach to replace Kitchens, so that was midway through the season last year, and now he's the quarterback coach. Just by looking at that, although sometimes guys are around for too long and you don't know what they would do in a new situation, but at least just looking at that, you'd say, wow, is he outclassed?
Well, I think one of the big topics of conversation, Les, is going to have to be, as soon as the season ends, have to be Baker Mayfield. I mean, he hasn't been the same quarterback. He's been terrible at times. And they have to answer the question why. And if it's if some of it falls on him, which it almost certainly will, okay. But if it's also the way he's being coached and the way he responded to Kitchens, that's probably not a great thing for Freddie Kitchens to keep his job.
Do you think Freddie will listen if Dorsey says, look, we'll keep you on as coach, but you have to give up play calling responsibilities, and we're going to bring in a real offensive coordinator, and he might be here already?
Yeah, you would think he would. You know, I mean,
if you want the job.
Yeah, who wants to be known as a one and done in this league?
Right.
But he hasn't, and maybe I wouldn't either if I were in his position when it's been brought up to him this year. During in season, he certainly has shut down that line of thinking, and maybe I would too in season. But it's a little different hearing it from the media than hearing it from your general manager and owner.
But it's hard to believe that that is not part of the problem, that he wasn't ready for that particular position.
He was, look, I don't think it was too shocking to look and say he was going to be challenged this year. He had never done the job at any level.
Correct.
He's walking into a team that with a headstrong quarterback with
high expectations.
High expectations, wide receivers that suddenly rank in the top 10, both of them. Maybe the one is a top 2 or 3, we thought. Yeah, there were a lot of, and an offensive line that was going to be definitely worse because of the trade that Dorsey made in getting rid of Kevin Zeiler.
That past segment brought to you by Tri-C, where futures begin. You can explore your interests, find a program that puts you on a path to a bright future. Tri-C offers more than 1,000 courses and over 140 career and technical programs. Go to tri-c.edu for more information. We'll check in, Mike Masetta, see what Mike's thinking. We'll take your phone calls, 216-575-0403. More Sports and Les Levine continues exclusively on cleveland.com.
As a kid growing up, my dream was to go to college, play baseball, and get a degree. Coming out of high school, I had 2 choices. I was accepted into a 4-year university, but I decided to come to Tri-C after receiving a scholarship. I got my associate's degree at Tri-C. They transferred all my credits straight into Baldwin-Wallace, so I started at Baldwin-Wallace University as a junior. My name is Tyler Leonard, and I earned my first degree at Tri-C.
The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program recognizes role model students and teachers from across Ohio. Nominations can now be done completely online. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to ohiolottery.com. In the About section, find Partners in Education. There you will find links to the nomination forms. Students kindergarten through 12th grade can be academic all-stars. Teachers can be honored as a Teacher of the Month. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education, where stars shine.
It takes attention to detail. With your local Bryant dealer, you're getting more than just a technician. You're getting someone who pays attention to your needs and the little things that make a big difference. It takes a dealer you can rely on. And to keep your family warm this winter,
here, let me show you how this works.
It takes Bryant.
Bryant. Whatever it takes.
Welcome back. More Sports and Les Levine exclusively on cleveland.com. Time to check in with Mike Masetta at Nature Stone. Hey, Mike, wow, it's Nature Stone.
Wow, it's Nature Stone. How you doing, Les?
We're doing well. Bud Shaw with us tonight.
Wow, Mike, they lost to the Arizona Cardinals.
Yes, they did.
That can't happen.
Lose, that's for sure.
You can't lose to the Arizona Cardinals, can you?
Wow, and they did not look good doing it. I mean, they weren't even in the game. I know sometimes it's tough to go west and play when you're an East Coast team, and I understand getting off to a slow start. But man, that was brutal. And now you got Kareem Hunt coming out, and he's talking about how players gave up and took players off and whatever. And if he's saying it, something must be to it because something's going on.
Yeah.
No, hey, I've got a question. Maybe either of you can answer, or both, hopefully. Kareem Hunt, they say try to sign him again. But my guess is when you signed him without getting to play him for the first 8 games, wouldn't you have already taken care of that you get the option to keep him if you want him? But apparently that's not the case.
Yeah, maybe he didn't want an option on it. He wanted to, because he knew he wasn't going to come out of this season with great numbers, right?
Well, he would next season, even with Chubb in
But
there.
he probably doesn't want to share. I would think he doesn't want to share the load, being a
Good
guy,
point.
being a guy
All right,
like
so, Mike,
him.
you say sometimes it's tough to travel to the West Coast, but sometimes you get rewarded. You travel to the West Coast and you find out it's the Arizona Cardinals you're playing. You should beat those guys.
Oh, there's no question about it. The Browns have a lot more talent than they do. They're bringing along a rookie quarterback who's had a rough season. Their defense is not very good. And, I mean, I would tell you that that's probably the worst overall game that the Browns have played this year, because it was so bad. It reminded me of, Tennessee getting the blowout there, or, the Seattle game, things like that. But they just they played so poorly in a game that they needed to win, and they had the better team on the field, and they just looked bad. It wasn't close.
Yeah, Mike. Two things jumped out at me. 299 yards of offense for Arizona in the first half.
Ouch.
And the other was 226, I think, or 9 yards rushing for the game. That's not a comforting thought going into a game against the Baltimore Ravens.
No, and the Ravens are playing their best football of the year right now.
And they need it, too. They still need to win.
It's such a strange league,
Yeah.
They could just as easily go into Baltimore, because I think this game's in Baltimore.
No, it's here.
It's here.
Oh, this is at home?
Yeah.
Yeah, so they could just as easily play them at home and, pick up a win against a team that may be a little bit overconfident. Although I don't see that from Harbaugh. Harbaugh is too good of a coach, and they already lost to him once, and they don't want to do that again.
As Mike, as Bud suggests, it's a game they need. It's a game, kind of a revenge game, because they did lose to Cleveland early on, when neither team knew who they were, by the way. Baltimore came back from it. Cleveland did not. So we'll see what goes on. It'll be interesting to see how Cleveland, with all the turmoil going on in the locker room and outside. And by the way, you keep hearing Freddie Kitchens talk about don't believe in the noise and all that stuff. What he's basically saying is those media members are a bunch of jerks. That's what he means, right?
Well, he knows. Well, first of all, he knows that this team was pumped up beyond its readiness to be, primetime ready team. So he knows that initially they were told they were really good this year, and he thinks he's seen the effect of that. So that's how that whole shut out the noise thing started. They just didn't listen to it, and they created their own noise most of the year.
And blamed it on other people.
Yeah.
Mike,
and the fact that he's even got to say, "I'm shutting out the noise," means that he hears it.
Yeah, right.
So
Exactly.
He knows what everybody's saying.
Yeah, nobody says what noise.
Yeah. And it's not just coming from some made-up, conjured-up thing in the media. I mean, this is you. This is what you've created.
Yeah,
that's
a good point.
Somebody said to me that we were talking about whether John Dorsey or Jimmy Haslam had the names in his hip pocket of who he'd want to be head coach or to be the general manager and all. Does it seem to you that Freddie had prepared he was 10 years with Arizona. Does it seem to you that he was actually preparing for a head coaching job somewhere?
Well, I don't know what he was thinking or feeling, but certainly you would see a guy move up to a coordinator role at some point.
Before this, yeah.
Long before this. Dorsey admitted that Freddie wasn't on his list. That basically he used those games last year to put Freddie on the list.
Right.
And
or he got word that guys he might have had on the list weren't interested.
Yeah, maybe. I don't think they were ever, Mike, I don't think they were ever really interested in Mike McCarthy last year. There was something that told me, or someone who told me, that the organization was never as interested in McCarthy as the fan base might have been. So I don't know if that's changed. Peter King just did a story with Mike McCarthy the other day in which Mike McCarthy's trying to reinvent himself to be this guy who's willing to listen to analytics and maybe be more of a fresh thinker than he'd been in the last few years in Green Bay.
Mike, let's change the conversation a little bit to, I know what I think is your most favorite sport, and that, of course, is baseball. What do you think the trade of Corey Kluber to Texas? What's going through your mind on that?
Oh gosh, so I find the trade to be very interesting. It's hard to say if it was a win-win or how to look at that. First off, Kluber has been such a tremendous pitcher for the Indians for such a long time, and I mean this in no disrespectful way to him, but his arm has walked so many innings over the years, and you and I have talked about this many times. His velocity has slowly declined year by year to a point where I think this year his average fastball speed was in the low 90s. Yeah. It was somewhere around 90, 91 miles an hour. To me, that's a cause for concern. And so if you're going to trade him, this would probably be the best time to do it. What they got in return, this kid Clace is pretty amazing. I mean, when you're running it up there at 100 miles an hour, and you're only walking 6 guys in 23 innings, that's something that you can really work with in the back end of a bullpen. And the Indians just don't have that guy. They don't have him, and they certainly don't have a closer that we know of to take the place of Brad Hand when Brad Hand is gone, unless that Karsinik can be that guy. But even if he can, there's still no setup guy for him. Yeah. So you need 2 or 3 guys in the back end of your bullpen. So from that standpoint, they realized that they had a deficiency. They went out and they used Kluber to address that deficiency, and they got rid of the salary to boot, which now, if they want to, they can go and use a portion of that salary to maybe fill another position of need.
Yeah, let's stop any talk that money would go toward Lindor, because that's not happening.
No, they're not signing Lindor. The owner has already said it. He already came out and said it. That's why I would not be surprised if they trade him now, only because the owner has already tempered the waters. He's already let the fan base know we're not keeping him.
All right,
so you got to find when is the most optimal time to make that trade from a business standpoint, while not alienating your fan base.
All right, let me ask about this then. If you keep Lindor and make a run at the Central Division, is this what they have now? Is this enough to do it?
I don't think so, and I think, to be fair to the fan base, you have just said you made the Kluber trade so that you can reinvest in the franchise.
Right. But at least you have pitching behind him.
You do, yeah, absolutely. But I think there should be some immediacy to that reinvestment. And if you're going to keep Lindor, which I'm not convinced yet that they are through this offseason, I think they want to unless they're completely blown away, then I think you need to, while he's here, you need to try to win a championship with him, because we all know your time's limited with him.
Right. Well, you didn't get much. You're talking about Delano DeShields Jr. If Mike is correct about the relief pitcher, that may help. But it seems I don't know. There's something about it that seems to me you could have gotten more.
Well, when I first saw the deal, and I don't know if you agree, Mike, I kind of was going to tweet about it, and I was hesitant because I thought there must be another player coming that we don't know about yet. And then when I looked at it, I thought, you know what? If they had been willing to swallow some of Kluber's salary, they probably could have got more back in trade.
Right, but this is the best they could do.
Certainly they weren't. The getting rid of that $17 million was big. While this guy is only the 28th, I think, ranked prospect in that organization, he does do something very special, and that's throw 100 miles an hour. And he could fill that role that you're talking about. And if he becomes that setup guy or that closer, maybe in 3-4 years you'll look at it and say, okay, that was as good as we could get.
Well,
I don't think we're going to be watching Corey Kluber except Cy Young Awards any time in the next few years. He's going to be 34 in April.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. See what the Indians do to try to be competitive this year. I know Paul Dolan wants to be competitive if he can. I don't know if he can or not. Hey, Mike, have a great holiday, you and your great family, and we're looking forward to, number one, to saying, wow, it's Nature Stone. But just thanks for all your support, and thanks for being part of the show.
Hey, I appreciate it, guys. We got a great, it's our 30th anniversary coming up this year in 2020, and we're doing a big a special free floor giveaway type thing, and we'll be announcing that on the 26th of December. So I appreciate all the time you guys give me, and you guys have a great one, too.
Excellent. Thanks,
Merry
Mike.
Christmas, happy holidays, everything.
Same to you and your family.
Mike.
216-575-0403 is the number to call. East, west, and south. That's where you're going to find Northeast Factory Direct, in addition to northeastfactorydirect.com. 3 great locations, big gold stores, big bare bone stores that helps them save money, which they pass on to you. Mike's been doing it for 20 years now. He started in one garage in Lakewood with one piece of furniture, and look what he's turned it into. One of the unbelievable business stories in all of Northeastern Ohio. Northeast Factory Direct. Sokolowski's University Inn. They are, they were just rated number 2 in Wine and Food magazine. That 2 as far as the cafeteria-style restaurant is concerned. Number 2 in the nation, not number 2 in Tremont, number 2 in the nation. Also the winner of the James Beard Foundation Award, one of 5 who get it every year from the James Beard Foundation. Mike and Bernie Sokolowski and their family does such a great job. They're Cleveland's oldest family-owned and operated restaurant, started back in 1923. We'll come on back in a moment with Bud Shaw. More sports and Les Levine continues exclusively on cleveland.com.
Get your garage ready for the holidays.
We had some cracks in the floor. We needed to enhance the beauty of it. That's when we called Nature Stone.
Nature Stone corrects uneven concrete, so you don't have to worry about tripping or slipping. And with Russell's Promise, our true unconditional warranty, you will never have to replace your garage floor again. For a limited time, get Nature Stone installed now and pay nothing until next year. Payments as low as $99 a month. No interest, no down payment. Schedule your free cost estimate easily online today. It's not just a floor. Wow, it's Nature Stone.
When it comes to selling you a mattress, most retailers are handing you a long line of extra steps that drive up costs and create confusion. At the Original Mattress Factory, we simplify the mattress shopping experience by building mattresses and box springs in our own local factories and selling them direct to you. It's short, sweet, and simply makes sense. So experience more than just a mattress store. Experience an original, the Original Mattress Factory.
Presque Isle Downton Casino now has sports betting. Use one of the 50 state-of-the-art Bet America kiosks to place your bet. Then, watch your favorite games on our new HD televisions or visit our new sportsbook area. Only at Presque Isle Downton Casino.
Well, if you're in the market for a new high-efficiency Bryant gas furnace, Smiley One currently has a 0% APR for 36 months financing program. Check it out at Smiley One. 216-575-0403 is the number to call. Let's go to South Carolina. Ted is standing by in Greer, South Carolina. Hello, Ted.
Hey, Les. Hey, Bud. Good evening.
Good evening.
Hey, Ted.
Did you see that Matt Patricia got another year today?
Who did?
Matt Patricia in Detroit.
Matt Patricia.
Yeah.
Really?
But Detroit was signed again for another year, kind of under the same deal that I think that Freddie would nice be for him to be on for consistency's sake.
Yeah, well, this is 3 years now for Patricia then, right?
Yeah, exactly right. This is his 3rd year.
You know what? Hires like that have proven that you may have learned under Bill Belichick, but you're not Bill Belichick.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Hey, I think that they would like, Ted, I think they would like to keep Freddie because they do appreciate the idea of continuity. But I think they've seen some things this year in game management and in player, I don't want to say behavior because it sounds like there's a lot of bad apples. I don't mean it that way, but just things that have not been as buttoned down as they would have wanted under a head coach. So maybe they can express all that to him and he can change, but I do think he has to change.
Do you think that was because it's Freddie Kitchens or Freddie Kitchens, the rookie coach, that they took advantage, tried to take advantage, like the substitute teacher?
Both. I think you could come in
a little
as
bit of both. I'd say for sure.
Yeah. Ted, where do you stand on the coach? Who would you like to see here?
I'd still like to see Freddie next year, truly. I'd like to see, again, I want to go for consistency and see if we can hang on for one more year with our guy and see how it goes.
And by the way, if he gets another year, that gives him more credibility right by that, right?
You would hope. I think
so.
the last 2 games I think will be pretty important in in either cementing the locker room one way or the other.
Exactly.
All right, Ted, anything else?
No, gentlemen, I appreciate it. I'm kind of behind the Kluber trade, though, too.
Oh, yeah? Good.
All right. Thanks, Ted. Thanks for joining us from South Carolina. 216-575-0403.
Yeah, I haven't heard a lot of outrage about the Kluber deal because I think people see him coming off a season where he only made 7 starts. They see the talent that they have in the starting rotation right now.
Yeah, I'm not a doctor like maybe Baker Mayfield is, but when I think of a broken arm, the way he broke it, and then with the breaking ball that he keeps throwing, and no pun intended about breaking ball, you almost expect it to snap, don't you?
Yeah, or certainly him
Weaken
to have
it.
some. For him to have some weakness there. I know some people felt that maybe they should have held on to him until his market value went back up. But then you're in the beginning of you're in the season, and, and I still think they could, if they keep Lindor, they could win that division again, or at least challenge pretty high, intensely for that division.
Right.
So then you're like, well, now what do you do? Now you wait until
you need Kluber.
Now you want to get rid of Kluber, but your fan base is really going to be up in arms because you're in the middle of a pennant race.
216-575-0403. We've got calls standing by. We'll get to them in a moment. Got a good batch of quickies tonight for the next segment. You got your Sharpie ready to go?
As I often say, Les, I will be the judge of that. That Sharpie right there.
This one here is yours?
I'm giving this one already a 9.9.
Which one? That's from the other night.
Oh.
Which one was it? You can read it.
It was from Toledo Mike.
Go ahead.
How come my diagnosis of being colorblind came completely out of the purple?
I liked it.
See, that's my idea of a quickie. First
quick.
of all, it's quick.
Yeah.
Second of all, it takes that little left turn at the end that you don't necessarily see
Where is
coming.
purple going to be part of this equation?
Yeah, you don't see it coming.
Yeah. All right.
Good job, Toledo Mike.
Tomorrow night we will have the D-Man, Dennis Maniloff, who's been doing a lot of radio, and Paul Heinz will be here Thursday. Speaking of radio, I'll be on 92.3 The Fan this Friday with Andy Baskin. Then next week I'll be there Tuesday and Thursday, wrap it around Christmas. And what are you doing? WKYC.com. Tell you got your schedule yet?
Well, on Wednesdays I write my little acclaimed You Said It column that runs on WKYC on Wednesday, and then I'll be doing my regular column on Friday, and then I will be at the game on Sunday, writing off of the game and doing my appearance with Nick Camino Sunday night.
Northfield Park, your home for live and simulcast racing. Catch the excitement of live harness racing every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Saturday, and Sunday with a post time of 6 p.m. Although, obviously, they'll be closed Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. 216-575-0403. We'll finish up some phone calls. We'll also get to some How Come Quickies, which will be graded by the toughest grader we've got on the staff. That's Bud Shaw.
Wow.
That's him. Back in a moment, more Sports Les Levine continues exclusively on cleveland.com.
Get your basement ready for the holidays.
We had a horrible storm that flooded our basement.
We had to take out that nasty moldy carpet.
And we never want to have to go through that again. That's when we called Nature's Stone.
And with Russell's Promise, our true unconditional warranty, you will never have to replace your basement flooring again. For a limited time, get Nature's Stone installed now and pay nothing until next year. Payments as low as $99 a month. No interest, no down payment. Schedule your free cost estimate easily online today. It's not just a floor. Wow, it's Nature's Stone.
There are tastes we remember. Every smell brings the happiness of times gone by. Experience this every time you walk into Gallucci's Italian Foods. Whether you need lunch on the go, a catered party, or that perfect blend of wine, meats, and cheeses, Gallucci's has exactly what you're looking for. Straight from Mama's Kitchen for old world traditions or original experiences. From the tastes you remember to new flavors you'll never forget. Gallucci's is a tasty branch of your family tree.
The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program recognizes role model students and teachers from across Ohio. Nominations can now be done completely online. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to OhioLottery.com. In the About section, find Partners in Education. There you will find links to the nomination forms. Students, kindergarten through 12th grade, can be academic all-stars. Teachers can be honored as a Teacher of the Month. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education, where stars shine.
We should keep the camera on Bud. Give us a little bit of what you're doing with that music.
Takes me back to my days as a drummer in a rock band.
I just used a name that nobody knows, Buddy Rich. Let's take a look at an email from Cleveland Bill. The best Browns team I've ever seen, a great running back, good offensive line, quiet executioner quarterback, and a smart, serious coach. That would be the Browns of '64. Brown, Shafrath, Wooden, Hickerson, Ryan, and Collier. This terrible Browns team has only the great running back, but sadly a weak offensive line, an inaccurate loudmouth quarterback, and a clueless coach. I see another long rebuild ahead. I predicted 9-7, but I took this motley crew for a team. We all went 9-7 or 10-6.
Have I ever told you how much I like the term motley crew? I just think
no, you never told me that.
I like it. It's
let's go to Matt, who's in Aurora. Matt, good evening.
Hey, let's say that.
Hey, Matt.
Hey, the last unexpected loss, Freddie said it was because the players weren't playing together and lack of execution. I didn't hear the conference yesterday. Is that what happened Sunday?
Yeah, I mean, he's not going to, unfortunately, he's not going to stand up there and say that his team is quitting on him, but it certainly looked like in parts of that game that they were unprepared to start the game defensively, and late in the game it looked like they were not interested in tackling anybody.
Matt, are you getting tired of hearing him say, we got to coach better, we got to play better, we got to do all these things better? Are you does he need a new script?
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, and Ray Farmer seems to be right. I mean, wide receivers a philosophy of wide receivers are overrated.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think Ray Farmer, I thought about that earlier today, Matt. I mean, I think Ray Farmer took it to an extreme, but only because he had no interest in drafting any of them either, even if they were good players. But you could see, in a way, I think that this offense would be better if the quarterback didn't feel this dying need to get the ball to his squeaky wheel receivers. Yeah. And not that Landry hasn't been a very good player, because he has been a very good player, but I think if they got rid of Beckham in the offseason and got something back for him and built that offensive lineup, I think they'd be a good offensive team still.
But they didn't trade to get Beckham for 1 year.
I know they did.
Part of the thing that made him attractive was
they didn't hire Freddie for just 1 year either.
That's a good point.
I think.
Hey, Matt, have a great holiday if I don't talk to you before.
Okay.
Thanks,
Matt. Merry Christmas.
Thank you. You too. Where's Devin and Concord when we need him all the time, but where is he when we need him now? All right, you ready to grade?
I think.
It's that time of the show. Toledo Mike.
This is Toledo Mike, who I just gave the 9.9 to for last week. Okay.
When he got a 7.4. How come when I asked the sales lady at the bookstore, where is the self-help section, she said, well, that would defeat the purpose, wouldn't it? It's got some of the elements.
It's got some of the elements. It's good. It could be more brief.
More briefer.
Yeah, more briefer. But also good. Yeah.
Cleveland Bill has a biblical reference. How do you feel about biblical references?
I'm open to them long as you don't see them coming like the Red Sea parting. This isn't about the Red Sea, is
How
it?
come Cleveland passed over Abraham and Isaac when it named Jacob's Field? Biblical reference.
That's a biblical reference, but you
don't want to tick off anybody on this one.
Yeah.
8.0.
I'll give it an 8.0, but
all right. This one here is really good, but I can't. In 2019, with the holiday season coming up, you got to admit I can't use this one, right? No matter, even if it's funny. Right?
Yeah.
It's funny, but I can't use. Give the grade.
Okay.
He gets a 9.0, and we're not going to read it. All right.
I mean, it's somebody's fantasy to get this kind of grade. That's all I'll say.
Without even getting one for submission?
They will know
in their hearts
which one I'm referring to.
Right. This from Big Ed. How come when I told my wife she was the most jealous woman I know, she said, so, you know lots of other women, do you?
I'm running out.
I can't do this one either.
I'm running out, but I liked that one, so I'm giving that a 9.
All right, this is the same theme. I just can't use it, no matter. There was a time back in the day I could have used it. What do you think? Don't read it while you're deciding.
How come after? No. Yeah. No. No.
But it's okay.
No.
It's a good one.
Yeah.
Mitch from Kent. Was Surf's Up first heard during the Middle Ages? See Surf, S-U-R-F, or Surf, S-E-R-F.
Also 9.0. That's a strong batch tonight.
His second one,
relatively
for submission.
speaking.
How come I was given a key to the city when I already had bolt cutters?
Yeah.
How come when I brought home the evaporated milk? How come when I brought home the evaporated milk, it was gone? It was evaporated. See.
Yeah.
What
All
did-
right.
9.0?
Yeah.
Well, this is a very strong
It's a
branch.
good group tonight.
Does methane gas come from contented cows? I don't think I understand the scientific value of that.
Yeah.
Is that something I should be smirking at, or
Nah,
or say, hey, nice one?
Yeah, I mean, but you could humor
Good
him.
try.
You could humor him and say, interesting.
Interesting. Mr. Gullible is always interesting. How come the season gives new meaning to the term kitchen sinks?
Again,
Pun.
It's a pun. I'm not high
You'll like
on,
this one.
I'm
You'll
not
like
high
it.
on
Before
puns.
you give him a combination.
Okay.
How come Delino shields us from seeing the lack of talent in the Indians' outfield? Shields? No, you got it upside down,
I know.
or was that
That's
on purpose?
a 5.9.
It's 5.6. John Patrick.
Yeah.
I think you'll agree with this.
Okay.
How come most of us can keep a secret, but the people we tell it to can't? There's truth in that one. You get points for truth.
There's some truth in that, and it makes you makes you think. I'm gonna. It didn't make me laugh though. So.
But eight is good
pretty
by
good.
your standards.
Eight's good.
I think this is the best cumulative
Well, I'm
class.
in the holiday mood right now, Les. So. Once
Okay.
we get into January and we still have 4 more months of winter, 5 more months of winter,
6 weeks
whatever
of winter
it is,
in February.
I'll be giving much lower grades.
All right. I think I'm right on this. You're here next Thursday.
Yes.
A week from Thursday.
Day after Christmas.
You and Susan have a great holiday.
Thanks. You and Allison also.
Terrific. All right, that'll do it for us tonight. We've got the D-Man, Dennis Maniloff, tomorrow. I'm on 92.3 The Fan on Friday morning. And Thursday, we've got Paul Hoynes. He's coming up with his rant right now. I hope he's not.
Standing in front of a mirror in the same undershirt that Baker Mayfield was wearing.
He was rehearsing his rant a couple of weeks ago, and he missed this. He missed the turnoff.
One of the first times I ever saw him, he was standing in Shea Stadium screaming into the telephone at 1:30 in the morning, sweating in an undershirt like Stanley Kowalski saying, "Change Big Billy Hatchers to Mickey Hatcher." So.
Well, he was practicing doing this, and he wound up in Streetsboro. That'll do it for us. Have a great holiday. If you don't see us before, we'll see you with all the shows I've ever done. This was the most recent.